So next up, we have the iPhone 6 that we have to go ahead and talk about and see how it holds up in the middle part of 2023. Now, clearly, I don't think anybody at all should be using a phone like this. I don't think it makes any sense at all. And you are much better off buying a phone that is still somewhat supported with software. This thing is completely outdated with software, and it really makes zero sense at all. Now, the first thing I'd say with the outside and with this whole entire phone, nothing has really changed even since my early review of this thing. We still have that, 4.7-inch IPS panel on the front. We still have a, Touch ID sensor. We still have, big bezels on this thing. It's a pretty basic looking phone nowadays. I think a majority of people know how a phone like this performs and looks like, but it is what it is. There's not much we can do about it nowadays. And I kind of do see what Apple was doing with it, back then. But it is funny because the iPhone SE3 that Apple is still selling has a design that is very, very similar to this thing. Now, we're still getting a lightning port at the bottom of this phone, a headphone jack as well, which is okay, which is pretty good. And on the back, we're getting this aluminum styling back. It's a single camera setup, and overall it looks very, very good. I like the way this phone looks. I like the way this phone feels. It doesn't look super old, but it does definitely look like an older phone. And that's just kind of what happens when you're getting an older phone like this. These types of older devices definitely do age worse than even like an iPhone 10 that came out like 3 years after this thing. So it's just one of those things to keep in mind. Now, we are getting that single camera setup on the back. There's not really too much going on with it. It's 1080p at 60 frames per second. Very, very basic type of phone here. There's really not anything crazy going on. Again, even like the front camera is 720p. Again, it's a very, very basic camera. You're not going to pick up this device and be like, oh my goodness, this is like the perfect phone for me. I don't think anybody's thinking that anymore. It's a fairly outdated camera, and that's just kind of what happens when you're getting a phone like this. Now, on top of that, you are still maintaining, kind of software support. It's been outdated since iOS 12, since like 2018 or 2019. But the thing to keep in mind here is that with this phone, it is still kind of getting iOS 12 updates. So this has been something that's been very, very interesting. For a lot of people, you may not even realize this, but with the iPhone 6, this thing has been getting iOS 12 updates for many, many years now, which is crazy. It's probably one of the longest supported iPhones of all time, technically speaking. So it's an insane thing that ended up happening. And clearly I wouldn't recommend buying this phone anymore, but it is still kind of interesting that it's still kind of supported with software. Now, in terms of performance, this thing internally has that Apple AA chip inside of it. Very, very basic type of camera. It's not a very basic type of performance. It's not a phone that I would purposely go out there and purposely recommend people to buy, because like I mentioned, it just really isn't that type of phone anymore. It's just a fairly basic, phone. It's not going to be performing that well. It doesn't really have too many crazy features built in. Very basic type of phone, very basic type of performance you're going to be getting. And a lot of applications aren't even supported on this version of software anymore. So it makes even less sense to go ahead and buy a phone like this, in my opinion. So to kind of sum it up, what I'd probably tell you is to not even think about buying a phone like the iPhone 6 anymore. It makes zero sense to have a phone like this. It just makes a lot more sense to go ahead and buy something like an iPhone that is still supported with software. Things like an iPhone XR or iPhone XS or newer. Those types of devices are going to be giving you a much better experience than buying this type of device, in my opinion. So in terms of that, it kind of covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.